If you criticise the style in Southampton, you get Russell smarting. And in North London, all-out Ange has got his doubters too. Defeat for either tonight, and Christmas could just bring a sack.
Archer goes for goal! He scored! Cameron Archer gives Southampton an unlikely lead!
We shouldn't be on the points we are. It's incredibly hurtful and embarrassing. They're only on 5 points.
Well, the biggest 1-0 battering you've ever seen. Southampton, they didn't lay a glove on Emi Martinez.
Yeah, they've played some pretty exciting and effective football against very good teams, and I think Russell will probably just be frustrated they haven't been able to sustain it or get rewards for it.
Spurs dropped to 11 and they've lost more games now than both Everton and Crystal Palace.
They will not lose to Southampton, even Spurs.
I think Ange needs to learn a little bit along the way, but I love what he's given Tottenham this year.
Well, Ange's been a manager for a much longer time than I have. I see him in the media, I see a man of conviction when I watch his team play. A man with conviction and belief and values that he won't compromise on, which I admire a lot.
And now Son Heung-min is released through the inside right channel. Squares it across for Maddison for 3-1! James Maddison!
I just want to make sure that what I set out to do, I accomplish, and that is bring success to this football club.
Spurs head to St Mary's without a win in 5 games in all competitions. It's live on Talksport tonight. Ian Danter is your commentator, and he has the team news.
4 changes for Southampton after that narrow 1-0 defeat at Aston Villa that you heard live on Talksport 2 last weekend. Jan Bednarek back after a month out through injury at centre-half. Alex McCarthy recording goal. A first start of the season on the left for Kamaldeen Sulemana. And Joe Aribo also back in. Looks like 4-5-1 for the Saints. Alex McCarthy in goal. Kyle Walker-Peters, Taylor Harwood-Bellis, Jan Bednarek and Ryan Manning in a 4. Then Tyler Dibbling, Joe Aribo, Flynn Downs, Matthias Fernandes and Kamaldeen Sulemana behind Adam Armstrong in attack. 5 changes for Tottenham from the draw that they got late on at Rangers on Thursday night in the Europa League. Another game you heard live on the Talksport network. Jed Spence makes a rare start at right back in the Premier League. Lucas Bergvall and Pap Sarr moving to midfield, and recalls for the man who scored at Ibrox, Dejan Kulusevski and Dominic Solanke. Fraser Forster is in goal. Jed Spence at right back, Pedro Porro on the bench. Archie Gray and Radu Dragusin still the centre-half partnership. Destiny Udogie left back. 3 in midfield of Lucas Bergvall, Pap Sarr and James Maddison. Dejan Kulusevski and Son Heung-min flanking Dominic Solanke in attack. Teams about to emerge from the tunnel at St Mary's for Southampton against Tottenham.
Scott Minto is alongside you, the former Chelsea, West Ham, Benfica left back. Postecoglou said Spurs are facing the biggest injury crisis of his managerial career. Gray starts alongside Radu Dragusin tonight at the heart of the defence. Romero's out, Van der Ven is out, Davies is all out. I mean, is this down to the fact that they haven't recruited properly for him, or is it because he's pushing them too hard?
Well, I think there's a lot of players there, and a lot of clubs in the Premier League can say the same thing, but that is a lot of players that are out. But you have to say, with Jed Spence starting, Archie Gray, I mean, he's played everywhere but the position where he's best at. The young boys come in, obviously, for Spurs, and I mean, I think it's going to be a player in the future, but a big job with him and Dragusin at the back here. So look, I think going forward, Spurs look very good. It's a very attacking looking side, but boy, do they look open defensively, and we know, don't we, Spurs can be Spursy. You just never know with this particular game.
OK, Southampton are bottom, Spurs are bottom half. Who comes out on top? Live on Talksport tonight, one of our 50 festive commentaries in December. The Saints who play by Russell's rules, or will Postecoglou's plan come to fruition tonight? Loads of changes for Spurs in our commentary box at St Mary's. Scott Minto and Talksport's Ian Danter.
Thank you, Sam, and a very good evening to you wherever and however you're listening to Talksport. 2 sides, 5 without a win, and without a great deal of positivity just now. You would forgive both Southampton and Tottenham fans for watching games through their fingers lately. Maybe a few will be listening to this next 90 minutes on Talksport through their fingers, desperate for a bit of positivity for their side. Russell Martin's admitted being embarrassed by Saints' paltry total of 5 points from 15 games. The latest defeat, a narrow one admittedly, at Aston Villa. But even though a win tonight would keep them rooted to the foot of the table, it might just give fresh hope to fans here that their return to the top flight isn't necessarily a short-term one. Spurs, like their hosts, haven't won in 5, and no one saw that coming when they went to the Etihad and won 4-0 on Thursday. They were close to defeat at Rangers in the Europa League before a late Dejan Kulusevski goal rescued a point on Ange Postecoglou's return to Glasgow. I'll recap that team news again for you. Bednarek back for the Saints after a month out injured. Alex McCarthy also recalled in goal. Joe Aribo and Kamaldeen Sulemana are also back in. So McCarthy in goal, Walker Peters, Harwood Bellis, Bednarek and Manning in a back four. Dibbling, Aribo, Downs, Fernandes and Sulemana in midfield. Armstrong in attack. On the bench for Tottenham, Lumley is the sub-keeper, along with Lallana, Bree, Wood, Sugawara, Archer, Fraser, Amayor and Onuachu. For Tottenham, 5 changes. Spence, Bergvall, Sarr, Solanke and Kulusevski all come in. Fraser Forster the keeper. Then it's Jed Spence, Archie Gray, Radu Dragic and Destiny Udogie at the back. Lucas Bergvall, Pap Sarr and James Maddison in midfield. Dejan Kulusevski, Dominic Solanke and Son Heung-min in attack. And on the bench tonight for Tottenham, well, it just shows the paucity of options that Ange Postecoglou has. Brandon Austin is the sub-keeper. Timo Werner still got a flea in his ear from his manager's words post-match on Thursday. Brennan Johnson, Pedro Porro, and I guess you could call Will Lancashire a senior pro. But apart from that, kids from the academy. Centre-back Alfie Dorrington. Central midfielder Callum Olusesi. Mason Bradley King, a left-back, and Malachy John Hardy. Centre-backs, all teenagers and all in reserve. Will they be used tonight? Ready for the off here on Talksport. Don't forget, Chelsea-Brentford about to get underway over on Talksport 2 with Joe Shannon and Stuart Pearce at Stamford Bridge. Scott Minto alongside me, Ian Danta here at St Mary's. Spurs in their light blues, Coventry City style change trip. Get us underway. They're kicking from left to right as we look from towards the back of the Itchin stand that we're sat in here. And Spurs are attacking the northern end to our right. The Chapel stand to our left is where Southampton in their red and white striped shirts, black shorts and white socks are attacking. And that corner of the Chapel and Kingsland stand is where the Spurs fans have travelled down the M3. Evening to you, Scott Minto.
Good evening, Dance. Good evening, everyone. I think we've got a game in store here. I think Spurs only know how to play one way.
And they're coming forward already with Jed Spence threading into the area. Maddison scores inside a minute. Jed Spence feeds James Maddison and he passes through the legs of Alex McCarthy. No problem for Spurs to hit the front inside a minute. And that wasn't a case of Southampton making a meal of it out of the back. That was just a defence-splitting pass from Jed Spence, latched onto by Maddison through the legs of the keeper. What a start for the Spurs! Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1.
And it's the type of goal that the modern-day manager wants to see, playing out from the back, then being quite patient. But Jed Spence shouldn't be allowed just to turn and run and be 30 yards out and to play that ball in behind. It's a great run from James Maddison. You know, we're not quite sure whether he's playing as a 10 or whether he's going to be as an 8, but what he is asked to do is to get forward as much as possible. Big night for Jed Spence. Very rarely starts if at all for Spurs, but it's the perfect start for the fullback there. Just turning, getting past his man, running in, playing an inch perfect pass to Maddison, and he does his celebration again. Treble 20, I'm sure there, Dance. What a start for him and Spurs.
On the night that the PDC World Darts Championship gets underway, James Maddison reminds us all he's a dead eye in front of goal. 39 seconds that took, and Spurs have the lead, and their fans away to our left-hand side on the far side of the field are singing, and Southampton fans already getting that sinking feeling. 2 minutes gone. 1-0 to Tottenham. That's James Maddison's 6th Premier League goal of the campaign. He's now made over 50 appearances for Tottenham, and he's wearing that sky blue kit he used to wear when he was a Coventry player.
Yeah. Do you know what's incredible though, Dan? I found it fascinating that Thursday against Rangers was his first game of the season that he both started and finished. Now, this is James Maddison we're talking about, that we want him to see do really well for his club and therefore our country. Not been quite the same player since he had that injury in the early part of last season, but we've seen what he's capable of against Manchester City, and that's exactly what he did there as well. A great run off the ball, timed his run perfectly, and so cool with the finish.
Udogie in the left-back position for Tottenham tucks it back to Archie Gray, playing on the left-hand side of the two centre-halves. Forster, former Southampton keeper, let's not forget, back on his old stomping ground. Feeds it to Pap Sarr, who brings it to the midway point of his own half. Feeds it to the feet of Kulusevski, who was caught from behind by Ryan Manning. And our referee today, Darren England, awards the free kick for Tottenham right in front of the Southampton technical area. 3.5 gone on Talksport. Southampton 0, Tottenham 1.
Thing is, Dance, we've seen this before from Spurs, haven't we? A great start, even if they go 2-0 up. The only thing is they're up against a side that, I'm afraid to say, are on their way down. But can they come back?
Son Heung-min, left-hand corner of the penalty area, loves playing against Southampton. Darts down the left-hand side of the area again and receives it from Maddison, the goal scorer. Trying to weave his way past Adam Armstrong, get across it. In fact, he's forced to go back to Gray. Gray infield to Sarr. Sarr just in front of the centre circle, sweeps the ball to the right, and Jed Spence, who provided the assist for that Maddison goal. Kulusevski gives the ball back to Spence, right-hand corner of the area. Good strength from the former Middlesbrough man. Sarr again for Tottenham, patiently working it back to Gray in the centre circle. Everybody in red and white behind the ball for Southampton as the ball goes out left to Maddison. Back to Gray, being closed down by Tyler Dibbling. Dragusin with his hair in that top knot works it out to the right hand side, and Spence once again. Spence doesn't have anybody ahead of him, so he goes on the outside of one, tries to skip past a second player, but Ryan Manning got the better of him, works it down the touchline, and Southampton win themselves the throw. And Matheus Fernandes is down holding his right shin, it would appear. 5 minutes gone on Talksport. It's 0-0 over on Talksport 2 between Chelsea and Brentford. But here at St Mary's, Spurs are 1-0 up. Scott Minto.
Yeah, and Jed Spence is looking like he's got a point to prove, doesn't he, the way he started this game. Love to get forward. His Spurs career, for some reason, has just never really got going. Antonio Conte talked about it was a club signing, not his. But even with other managers, and certainly with both him and Ange, never really getting into any kind of regular games and going out on loan twice as well. So massive opportunity. Great start from him.
He had a chance at Coventry, Jed Spence, when he came into the team, and he scored that night when it looked for all the world that Coventry were going to go out, as Sulemana works his way down the left hand side of the area but can't work the ball into the Spurs box. But Spence did well that night. I was there at the CBS Arena. He was one of the few bright spots in a pretty turgid Tottenham display, but they still got through.
Yeah, they did, and he played a big part in that. But look, he's not going to get in front of Pedro Porro, but Spurs are in all
today because Porro's on the bench.
Well, he has today, but so again, it's all about opportunity. But what I'm saying is, in the big games at the moment, and clearly Ange is feeling that he's making some changes here, but they're in all the competitions. Pedro Porro's not going to play in all of them. So even if you can't play in all of them yourself, when you do play
Walker-Peters wants of Spurs, plays the ball deep to the far post for Southampton. It's picked up by Sulemana on the dead ball line, faced up by Spence, works it back to Manning. Manning flicks the ball up to the edge of the area, but straight into the path of Pap Sarr. He looks for Solanke, works it out right to Kulusevski. In slides Bednarek on halfway and gets an important footing. He was the defender, Bednarek, back in the side today that Spence managed to bypass with that through ball for Maddison on 39 seconds. That's the goal that separates the sides here. If you're just tuning into Sunday night game night exclusive here on Talksport, don't forget Chelsea and Brentford also underway on Talksport 2. That's 0-0 at the Bridge. Earlier today, away wins for Crystal Palace at Brighton, their bitter rivals, and crucially for Manchester United at Manchester City. And I'm sure we'll hear at half-time from Ruben Amorim and Pep Guardiola after those two late United goals took all 3 points from the Etihad. 1 win in 11 now for City. Yes. Meanwhile, Spurs have won a free kick inside their own half. 1-0, they lead.
That's a big win for Ruben Amorim. It's more than just 3 points with the statement he made with Garnacho, but especially Marcus Rashford. So, I hope he does well. Coming from Portugal, I played in Portugal. Really good people out there. I know how highly he's rated, so I hope he does well. But, big win there. What's fascinating for me here is that even though Spurs actually have only had less or the second most possession in the Premier League, I expect Southampton at home to be very much on the ball, but they've only had 37% so far. They can't get hold of it.
Ball is back with Forster, the Tottenham keeper. Bergvall, another player who I saw at the Coventry League Cup tie, who looked a very competent young midfielder, the Swede. He works the ball in field to Pap Sarr. Sarr with a diagonal ball, lovely ball, all the way across to Son Heung-min on the left-hand side, running at Walker-Peters, He's got Udogie on the overlap, finds him now. Udogie passes back, looking for Son at the edge of the area. It's intercepted by Walker-Peters, but he runs into Bergvall, who's won it back, clips it down the left-hand side of the area. Kulusevski tries to play it across the face of goal, and it's tucked behind by Flynn Downs for a Spurs corner away to our right. 1-0 Tottenham lead.
Well, I hate to say it, but if Spurs do go 2-0 up, and we've seen Spurs blow 2 goals leads, but they're up against
You're
the
just
side.
reminding everybody what happened at Chelsea last week. I know what you're like.
No, I could chuck in Brighton as well. But my point is,
true.
They're up against a Southampton side that have scored the fewest goals in the Premier League. So what Southampton cannot afford to do is concede this second goal.
Well, Son's going to take the corner where the Kingsland stand meets the Northam stand away to our right-hand side. It'll be a right-footed in-swinger into a packed 6-yard box. It's right under the crossbar. McCarthy went to punch. It was only half cleared. Spence, an air shot from the edge of the area. Breaks for Kulusevski. He tries a drive from just inside the box, and that's blocked by at least 2 Southampton defenders who got themselves in front of him. But Kulusevski now picks it up on the right-hand side of midfield, level with the edge of the area. Back to Sarr, rolls his foot on the ball. Diagonal ball deep to the far post. Brought down by Son Heung-min. Tries to step inside. Walker-Peters gets the drive away, and it's straight to McCarthy, who holds on to it well. Southampton 0. Tottenham 1, with nearly 10 minutes gone on Talksport.
Well, Pep Sarr's just put a couple of fantastic diagonal balls, 40-yard cross-field. He's looking like he's bossing this midfield.
Solanke now trying to get the better of Walker-Peters at the edge of the area. Goes down, looks imploringly at Darren England for a free kick, and gets nothing. And it will instead just be a goal kick for Southampton. Elsewhere in the EFL today, you heard it live on Talksport 2. Burnley came from behind to beat Norwich City and go 3rd in the table, and Watford's good home form continues, a 2-1 win against West Bromwich Albion. Celtic won the Scottish League Cup on penalties after a 3-3 draw against Rangers at Hampden Park, and Kilmarnock, despite going down to 10 men, still beat the bottom side Hearts in the Scottish Premiership. And in the WSL, wins for Everton, Aston Villa, Manchester United and Arsenal today. You're up to date on Talksport. 10 minutes gone. Jed Spence for Tottenham rolls the ball back. Dragusin will pick it up just at the edge of his own penalty area and give it back to Fraser Forster. And he will pass back to the Romanian Dragusin, who will carry the ball up towards the halfway line. Isn't closed down, works it into the feet of Kulusevski, and then Maddison lofts it down the right channel, asking Spence to give chase. Bednarek there first, tucks it back to McCarthy. Decent clearance from McCarthy, but Manning can't keep it in play on this near side. And Southampton, as Scott Minto has already said, just can't keep hold of the ball. 1-0 Tottenham.
No, they can't. And Spence actually made the run down the wing and then checked. And then Maddison saw the initial run but didn't see the check. If it had just carried on running, he may well have been in down the wing. But then, yeah, I mean, look, Alex McCarthy did the right thing, but at the moment, as I say, they can't get hold of the ball, Southampton.
Maddison with a cross into the box. It breaks for Son. 2-0. Son Heung-min loves scoring against Southampton. He's got another one. A swirling cross from the right from James Maddison, who scored the first, eluded everybody, made its way across to Son Heung-min at the far post, and what a clinical finish from the Korean. And Spurs are banishing memories of this rotten run they've been on. Only 11 minutes gone, and Southampton find themselves 2-0 down.
Well, it's James Maddison at his very best, playing a cheeky little 1-2, lending the ball, getting it back. The ball in actually should have been defended better. It's just one of those where Bednarek is stretching for it. Howard Bellis is not calling to leave it because he can clear it, so it comes off the top of Bednarek's head, then it goes over the top then of Howard Bellis, and it comes to Son, who just finishes it, and Alex McCarthy cannot stop it. I mean, it's been a brilliant start from Spurs, but again, it's just calamitous defending from Southampton. Good play from James Maddison, but just conversation, communication in the centre of the defence there, and it would have completely stopped it, but what a start from Spurs.
That is 11 goals in 16 Premier League appearances against Southampton for Son Heung-min. Scored all 4 goals in a 5-2 win here at St Mary's in September of 2020 during Project Restart. That was Spurs' last win here, and it was a clinical finish. There was a little touch off a Southampton head from that cross from the right from Maddison, just helped it sit up for Son Heung-min at the far post, but he still had to go at it first time, and he did so with great expertise. And Spurs are bossing it. 13 minutes gone. Maddison now hits a Hail Mary down the left-hand side. Son is racing after it. He'll get there and keep it in play at the dead ball line. Into the edge of the area. Solanke drops it, but it falls for Kulusevski. It's 3-0. Boos ring around St Mary's. Joy and delight in the far corner. Solanke tried to get on the Son's cross. It was blocked away. But Dejan Kulusevski was Johnny on the spot and slotted it home from 3 yards out. What on earth is going on? Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 3. There are already Southampton fans leaving the stadium.
I was just about to say that, Dance. Not even 14 minutes gone, and some here are leaving. And again, it's far too easy, just a ball over the top to the left wing. Son looks up, he's got so much time. He whips the ball in. And Manning comes across and stops Solanke getting there, but the ball just falls completely to Kulusevski, who he almost looks a little bit embarrassed. It's a 4 yards simple tap in, and he doesn't even really celebrate. And I'm looking around, and I was actually just about to say this is Russell Martin. Even at 2-0, Russell Martin's worst nightmare. Not only are they losing, but they're not even getting hold of the ball and playing in the way that he wants to. We've seen a substitution already.
He's brought on Nathan Wood and taken off Kamaldeen Sulemana. He's explaining his decision to Sulemana, who doesn't appear to be taking it that well. As you might imagine, that's a substitution inside a quarter of an hour, not enforced on Russell Martin by injury. And Sulemana, he's not played any worse than anybody else out there in red and white, but he's the sacrificial lamb so that Southampton can get an extra centre-half out there.
Yeah, do you know what? And I do feel for him, but he has to do something, Russell Martin. It's all Spurs.
And here they come again, Tottenham. Quarter of an hour gone, they're 3-0 up. Kulusevski works in field to Maddison. Maddison up to the edge of the area looking for Solanke, but Bednarek was there in time. Now Manning at the left-hand corner of his own penalty area. Tucks it back to the keeper. 2-2 for Dejan Kulusevski. He rescued a point for Spurs at Ibrox on Thursday. Today, he's got the third. Inside a quarter of an hour. Long ball downfield looking to release Adam Armstrong, but out came Fraser Forster. Hit it against his own player, Lucas Bergdahl, and out for a Southampton throw. And the Southampton supporters around us dumbfounded by what they've seen.
So am I. I mean, not even Spurs can lose this one. And the way they've started in the first 15 minutes, it can be as many as they want. This is men against boys right now. It's a wonderful performance from Spurs, but I'm afraid Southampton are not a Premier League side.
Forster clears downfield over the head of Solanke, bounces in the centre circle, and Wood, fresh on it, went over his head, but it will bounce instead for Taylor Harwood-Bellis. Aribo, I'm not sure whether that's the first touch that Joe Aribo's had this evening on the right-hand side for Southampton. Downs gets caught by Maddison, so Southampton have a free kick inside their own half. Well, Southampton have scored in each of their last 15 meetings with Tottenham Hotspur. They've now got to find 4 goals to get 3 points, and we've only played 17 minutes on Talksport.
They've got to stop conceding 4, 5 and 6.
Dibbling. Right hand side for Southampton, plays the ball into the area. Armstrong with a free header straight at Forster. Lovely ball into the box from the right hand side by Tyler Dibbling with the outside of his left. Armstrong with a free header. Spurs defenders nowhere, but he planted the header straight at Fraser Forster. 3-0 to Tottenham.
Got to score. It's a wonderful ball from Tyler Dibbling, who, by the way, is not going to play outside the Premier League for many years to come. He's actually a little bit ahead of it, so he's having to try and get a bit of power and position as well. But if they are to come back in, you're not going to get many better chances than that.
Well, he's just won a free kick with a lovely mazy run, Tyler Dibbling, down the inside right channel. So it's Southampton's free kick. You're listening to Talksport. Sunday evening Premier League action. Chelsea-Brentford is 0-0 over on Talksport 2 right now. But here at St Mary's, we had 2 goals in just over 2 minutes to add to James Maddison's goal on 39 seconds to make it 3-0 to Tottenham Hotspur. But Southampton have a free kick, which will be sent into the area, looking for a touch from either Wood or Bednarek, and neither can quite get there. And instead it's a goal kick. You're listening to Southampton 0, Tottenham 3 on Talksport with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on Now, like Bournemouth versus West Ham, live tomorrow. Search Now Sports. We'll keep you updated this evening with night 1 of the PDC World Darts Championship. Mark Wilson is at Alexandra Palace. The defending champion Luke Humphries in action later tonight. But here comes Son Heung-min for Spurs down the left-hand side. Maddison rolls it into the path of Kulusevski, tees up Papisar at the edge of the D, back to the right for Kulusevski, gets it on his right. Is he going to get the shot away? Angles tight, blocked behind by Bednarek for a Spurs corner with 19 minutes gone. They lead Southampton by 3-0.
Well, how many do they want to score? Do they really want to go at it? Because if they get the likes of Maddison and Kulusevski and Son on the ball, we haven't really seen much of Dominic Solanke yet. Imagine when he gets going.
Well, he had that original chance when it rolled for Kulusevski for 3-0. Corner's gone short. Son Heung-min tries to whip it goalwards from the right-hand corner of the box. Blocked away, comes back to Son, lifts it into the area. Headed out by Southampton via a volley from Kyle Walker-Peters, but that volley has gone all the way over to the far side, and Bergvall protects it out of play for a Spurs throw, level with the Southampton penalty area. Taken quickly, Destiny Udogie tucks it in field for Maddison. He rolls it back to Archie Gray on the halfway line. Maddison just drifts away from Aribo for a minute, picks it back from Udogie, gets fouled by Fernandez, and that's a free kick to Tottenham Hotspur as it ticks round to 20 minutes at St Mary's Stadium. And a lot of people, including us, myself and Scott Minto, still trying to process what happened in that opening 20 minutes.
Don't go home though, Dan, will you?
No, you're all right. Getting out of this chair will take 5 minutes. These desks are very tightly packed in.
Nice and snug.
That's very snug. Free kick to Tottenham then, just past the midway point of the Southampton half and to the left of centre. James Maddison is standing over it. Southampton are holding their line just behind the penalty spot, as Maddison will curve it in right-footed. Headed away by Wood, well done at the 6-yard line. He was under pressure, but the ball breaks for Tottenham again. Spence inside the area, checks onto his left, just lifts it to the far post. Son tries a volley, scuffs it, comes out to Maddison at the edge of the area, rolls his foot on the ball and then curls it over the bar, and Ange Postecoglou turns away in despair. He thinks, and I'm sure Maddison thinks, he should have got that on target. 3-0 Tottenham.
Well, why has he not hit that first time? He's got so much space that he's probably thinking, I'll take an extra touch, but by taking that touch, it allows Flynn Downs to get closer. Just with the confidence you're playing at the moment, both individually and as a team. Smack that one first time, 18 yards out.
Here's Archie Gray for Tottenham, playing 1-2 with Bergvall, forced to go in field. Sarr has got Tyler Dibbling tracking him, so Gray once again decides to go back to Forster. Clears left-footed at the first time of asking, down the left-hand side, but Son can't win the header. Harwood Bellis did, and now Southampton play it forward. Matis Fernandez onside, trying to whip it across the face of goal for Armstrong. It was blocked at the near post by Dragisin, and then there's a push by Matis Fernandez on Destiny Udogie, trying to win the ball back, and Darren England awards Tottenham a free kick right in front of their overjoyed supporters in that far corner of the stadium. I would imagine many of them, Scott Minto, would have travelled down the M3 this afternoon. Not necessarily an expectation more than hope, maybe even trepidation.
Well, do you know what? Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and quite a few of the Talksport guys are in a group called Last Man Standing. And it seems to be that you can only bet on not bet on a team, you put a tenner in and you want to say who you think's going to win one week, but you can't say that team again. And mostly in the previous weeks is almost the team who's playing Southampton. No one put Spurs on for tonight, and that shows how Spurs can be hot and cold. And again, it's one way or the other. We're seeing the absolute brilliance of Spurs. If they can just do this on a consistent basis, I know they're playing the bottom team in the Premier League, but the attitude, the technique, the slick passing has been nothing short of superb. And we talked at the start of the game about Dragisin, who has had his problems in the centre of the fence for Spurs, and you've got an 18-year-old centre midfielder who's playing everywhere but centre midfield, and he's playing alongside Dragusin, and yet Southampton haven't really troubled them at all. It's been really poor from this Southampton side, but it's been brilliant from Spurs.
I'm not in this last man standing WhatsApp group of yours.
Right, let's get you in.
Oh, well, that's showbiz, isn't it, folks? Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 3 on Talksport midway through the first half. Southampton still trying to recover their composure. They should have had a goal back through a header right in front of goal from Adam Armstrong. Chelsea 0, Brentford 0, still the score over on Talksport 2 right now. Remember, you've got the Talksport app downloaded for your phone, dead easy to swipe left and right between our two exclusive commentaries tonight from the Premier League. Wins earlier today for Manchester United and Crystal Palace away from home, particularly dramatic in Manchester United's case. What a winner on 90 minutes from Amad Diallo after Bruno Fernandes had equalised from the penalty spot 2 minutes before the 90 was up. Well, it's when the Spurs go marching in rather than when the Saints go marching in at the minute. Spence wins the ball on halfway, having a good game so far on this rare, I think it's only his second Premier League start of the season. At right back, Maddison tries to rob the ball off Dibbling, but good strength from the youngster. Works it out right to Kyle Walker-Peters. Up against Udogie down that far side of the field, but Udogie, he shows good strength, just bundles Walker-Peters to the floor, and it's 4-on-4 for a moment as Tottenham stream forward. Son down the left-hand side, Udogie's continued his run. Son will roll it across to Pap Sarr. Sarr steps inside a defender, makes it 4. What a goal! What a finish, Pap Sarr, from a superb Tottenham Hotspur counter-attack. Cue more Southampton fans in front of us deciding they've seen enough. And we've only gone past 25 minutes at St Mary's. Tottenham are 4 up. A sweeping counter-attack. Udogie to Son, Son across to Pap Sarr, and twinkle toes from the midfielder to get in front of goal and slide it home. That was brilliant, but it's also awful for Southampton. Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 4.
Well, let's go the positives first. Really well done from Destiny Udogie as a left back, being strong, winning the ball back, running 30, 40 yards, not being composed about when to lay it off. He passes it out wide to Son, and I'm thinking just come inside because there's an overload here. And actually it didn't go as far as the right wing, because as soon as Sarr got the ball, he ran, he took a great little touch inside, but still no Southampton defender got anywhere near him. Brilliant cutback from him from right foot to left, and he's leaning back. It's a wonder strike, it really is, but for Southampton, oh my goodness me, these are the type of games that can get your manager the sack.
It's Pap Sarr's first Premier League goal of the season. He's scored 3 in other competitions. Now Pedro Porro's being readied down beneath us. I think there's a problem with Destiny Udogie. After that build-up, he of course had sprinted downfield with Son down that left-hand side, but Pedro Porro is stripped and ready to come on. Another injury for Tottenham Hotspur, and it will be Destiny Udogie going off. He's getting some treatment down on the pitch next to the centre circle, Scott Minto, for his race's run. Well, and another player onto the Tottenham treatment table.
Yeah, there's absolutely no point, even if he thought he could carry on, there's no point in him trying to at all. Looks like he's pointing to the top of his thigh. Maybe he was making that lung-busting run which helped get that 4th goal. But no, any twinges anybody feels now, the game's won. The game is won, and the question now is how many goals will Spurs get?
So Udogie is back on his feet and he's walking slowly. He's not requiring any aid from the physios to get off the pitch, and he's just getting some comforting words from James Maddison as he walks to this near touchline. So Porro will move to right back, and Spence, who started the game at right back, is switching to the left of the Tottenham defence. 27 minutes gone, and we've waited a good couple of minutes to get back underway since that 4th goal went in. Southampton fans getting that sinking feeling. It's not that long ago since Leicester won 9 here on that rainy night at St Mary's.
As we just take a look at each other, as you said that,
I know, it was a knowing glance, wasn't it?
There's every chance if Spurs keep on like this.
Well, an Ange Postecoglou Tottenham Hotspur side doesn't really know the meaning of shutting up shop and declaring a scoreline.
No.
If this was a Jose Mourinho Tottenham side or an Antonio Conte Tottenham side, they might not have even bothered with a third and fourth. But here we are at 4-0 to Tottenham, and Dibbling can't keep the ball in play on the far side of the field. Just to sum up Southampton's opening half hour, Maddison tucks the ball in field to Sarr, just caught off the ball there by Dibbling. A little bit of naughtiness from the Southampton youngster, just catching Maddison as he released a pass, but Maddison just calmly gets back to his feet, swings the free kick across to Pedro Porro. Kulusevski, and Porro back inside his own half, being closed down by Fernandes. Now Bergvall, with a shock of blonde hair in the midfield. £8.5 million from Djurgården for the young Swede, making a start tonight. He's made 9 Premier League sub appearances before this evening. Bergvall, comfortable header clear from Dragusin as Southampton sent a quick free kick downfield looking for Armstrong, but he's never going to win a header against Radu Dragusin in a 50-50. You might be able to nip in behind him with the ball over the top. Dragusin, well, that's a poor ball out, and it's picked up by Nathan Wood, who's brought down, and a free kick as Wood, it looks like he's pushed into midfield almost, and a yellow card as well for Bergvall for the challenge on Nathan Wood. And Southampton have a free kick 35 yards from goal. Half an hour gone, they're 4-0 down on Talksport, our Saints. Here's Scott Minto.
Yeah, and I still think there's more goals to come. I mean, Southampton will have to just try and go for it, and it will leave spaces at the back. You know, I just haven't seen, we've all been critical of overplaying from Southampton, but they've not been able to get 3 or 4 passes together. It's been the absolute opposite of what Russell Martin wants from his side, and still defensively really poor.
So Fernandes and Manning standing over this free kick, midway point of the Spurs half, to the left of centre, favours maybe a right-footed delivery to clip into the far post, but Manning could try and swirl it away from Forster. Fernandes dummies, it will be Manning to take it left-footed, swings it to the far post, comfortable claim for Fraser Forster, didn't even have to jump, just collected it on the run, and he bowls it out to Jed Spence on that left-hand side now for Tottenham as they're attacking the Northam stand in this first half. 4-0 up as they are. Son Heung-min up against Kyle Walker-Peters, just nicks it back to Maddison. Now Bergvall, Dragusin in the centre circle, receives the ball now, fires it across to Porro on this near side, quick ball down the right for Kulusevski, bypassing Manning, then it's tucked back infield to Sarr and Bergvall. 1 and 2 touch football from Tottenham Hotspur. Porro now swings across into the box, dangerous, it almost broke for Solanke, toe poked out to the edge of the area. Maddison got a foot in, but there was a foul on a Southampton player by Solanke near the penalty spot as he tried to adjust his footing, and it's a free kick. And now Solanke's sitting down inside the Southampton penalty area, needing a few running repairs. I'm not sure whether it's an injury or a twisted sock. 4-0 to the Spurs. Here's Scott Minto.
Yeah, we all hope. I think it's just a twisted sock, and it looks like it is. You know, I'm seeing pictures of Russell Martin, and I mean, he must be thinking, what on earth is happening here?
Get a load of this. Even though Spurs are leading, some fans apparently on the far side have been singing "We want Levy out." So we remind you who's currently unavailable for Tottenham Hotspur: Vicario, the goalkeeper; Bissouma, Bentancur suspended; Van der Ven, Davis, Romero, Richarlison, Odebear barely kicked a ball for Tottenham. Here comes Ryan Manning for Southampton, trying to do something about this scoreline, but back comes Pap Sarr. Strong challenge from the midfielder, puts it out of play for a throw, kicked it away as well, but there is a multiple system in operation. I think Manning was looking at Darren England as if they're going to book him for that, but instead it's a throw that Manning gets ready to take. 13 minutes to half time on Talksport. It is Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 4. Still goalless at Stamford Bridge over on Talksport 2 between Chelsea and Brentford. Apparently it's been all Chelsea in the opening half an hour or so. but they've not managed to make the breakthrough. You're listening to Southampton 0, Tottenham 4 on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has 450 branches with all the vehicles that your business needs. And we'll be hearing from Danny Kelly at half-time. Might be a bit cock-a-hoop, might not be. Trying to gauge his mood, Scott, I don't know.
Well, he's either up there or down there, being a Spurs supporter, isn't he?
Yeah, there is no middle ground, it would appear. Free kick to Southampton, left-hand side by the corner flag at the chapel end. Cleared away by the first defender, Solanke. Son is giving chase, but Matheus Fernandes gets there first. Downs works it out to this left-hand side of Manning. Infield it goes to Fernandes again. Tries to flick it through to Downs at the edge of the area. Spurs got a touch in. Then brilliantly taken around Aribo by Maddison. Another break on. Son to his left. Slides in Son Heung-min. Inside the area. Tipped over by McCarthy from Son's left-footed drive. It ends up being a corner kick for Tottenham Hotspur when it could so easily have been 5-0.
Great save. Really important one as well. As Maddison, who is absolutely bossing this game right now between him and Sarr, just dinks it round one player, runs with it, inch perfect pass. Then what can you do, Son? Takes a really good touch and it's a good shot in his left foot. Under pressure from the defender. Still, it's going in a top corner and McCarthy makes a really good save.
But it does lead to a corner where the Kingsland stand meets the Northam end over on the far side of the field, the Tottenham left. So it'll be a right-footed in-swinger from Son Heung-min. Already scored once tonight to continue his incredible scoring record against Southampton. There's a Spurs player gone down inside the area. It's Bergvall, who's gone down like he's been poleaxed. That definitely happened off the ball. I didn't see it. I don't think Scott Minto saw it either.
No, but the cameras will pick it up, so we will see a replay of it, I'm sure. And let's see whether he's done a Kyle Walker or not.
Yes, earlier this afternoon, Kyle Walker got into a bit of a contretemps with, I think it was Rasmus Højlund, and a yellow card for Matheus Fernandes for basically pushing. Wow, he's just pushed Lucas Bergvall into the post, right into his ribcage.
Yeah, to be fair, that's painful. Now, I don't think Fernandes has meant that, but that's the product of his push right into the post. Winded him a bit, hasn't it?
Well, the posts don't move. Not much. Yeah, they did rattle a little bit. Bergvall now just trying to get an explanation out of Fernandes, and I'm not sure he's going to get much out of him. The corner will finally be taken by Son Heung-min. 10 to half-time, 4-0 Spurs lead. In it comes from Son to the near post. Bergvall went for the header near post. Fernandes heads clear. Kulusevski will retrieve it for Tottenham down that left-hand side and finds Son Heung-min. Tucks it infield to Bergvall. Bergvall at the edge of the area. Rolls it infield to Pedro Porro. Sarr takes a touch. Maddison lofts the ball into the area, right-hand side, like with a sand wedge. But it's cleared away by the Southampton defenders, but not far. Nobody in a red and white shirt picks it up. All the second balls are going to Tottenham Hotspur. Pedro Porro now finds Maddison, tries to tease it down the right wing for Bergvall, but a bit lazy that time from Maddison, and Southampton won it back, but only temporarily. Porro gets a scissor kick in to get it downfield, and eventually the ball goes back to McCarthy, and under pressure from Solanke and from Son, Taylor Harwood-Bellis eventually clears downfield. Dibley for Southampton on halfway, driving into the Tottenham half. Good run from the youngster. Tries to thread it through for Armstrong. What an interception from Radu Dragusin. Claims for handball from some of the Southampton players around him, including Armstrong, who was the intended recipient of that pass. But Darren England waves it away. Maybe VAR will take a look. 8 to half-time. Southampton 0, Tottenham 4 on Talksport.
Much better from Southampton, though. Playing it out the back and then realising when it needed to go long, winning the knockdowns and then getting into Spurs' half, and it was so unlucky. Good play from Dragusin, real last-ditch effort. Armstrong would have been in there.
Well, he's the only fit recognised centre-half that Tottenham have at the moment. I'm asking Archie Gray to do that job. He's doing all right, but then he's not really been challenged that much this evening, as the scoreline suggests. Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 4. 7.5 to the break. Here is Maddison, who's been tormentor-in-chief as far as Southampton are concerned so far tonight. Out to the left wing it goes, and Son Heung-min. Spencer's gone on the overlap just ahead of him. tries to backheel the ball off Aribo for a throw, but Aribo has kept it in play, fires it along the dead ball line for Harwood Bellis to clear, but only as far as Bergvall. Brings it down very neatly. Then he's dispossessed by Adam Armstrong. That's good, tenacious work by the Southampton number 9. Gets into the Tottenham half, swings it out left, looking for Ryan Manning, but Dejan Kulusevski gets there first, gets clipped by Manning and wins a free kick.
Doesn't need to do that, Manning. Yes, it was never going to get there first, but then just hold up. Kulusevski's running towards his own goal, or certainly towards his own corner flag. Make him do something special to get out of it. Just giving the ball away.
In slides Manning again to try and dispossess Porro, but Spurs get it back. Papsar inside his own half, elects not to loft it downfield, but will give it back to Archie Gray. Left-sided centre half. Maddison's come deep, finds Spence on the left-hand side, just shy of the halfway line, and Maddison will pick it up again. And you can hear around us, it's silence. Very little to stir the blood, as you can imagine, of the locals here. Spurs fans over on the far side, they very much enjoyed the opening 39 minutes.
I've got to be honest, Dan, it's better than booing and making an atmosphere that's really difficult to play in. Southampton fans here are trying to stay with their side. Not an easy thing to do when you're 4-0 down.
Here is the talented Tyler Dibbling. Gets up to the edge of the D. Option to his left is Manning in space. Manning across the face of goal. Touched wide by Armstrong. The wrong side of the post. He slid in near post from Manning's pullback. He got ahead of the defender, but steered his right-footed shot the wrong side of the post for Southampton. Spurs goal kick. They still lead 4-0 here at St Mary's.
Much better from Southampton, and I'm sure it's because Spurs have gone from 5th gear to 3rd. But Southampton are at least creating chances. I was just thinking, Tyler Dibbling is a wonderful talent. Not seen much of him on the ball, but then he gets on the ball there. Really good run as an overlap from Manning. Great ball in. Adam Armstrong very clever as a centre forward actually. He was offside initially, but he knew the ball was going out to Manning. So when the ball came in, he knew he was going to get there first. Run past the near post. But by doing that, you've almost got to flick it rather than do it with your side foot. But still, at least it's better from Southampton. They're showing character.
That's Scott Minto, former Chelsea, West Ham and Benfica fullback, alongside me, Ian Danta here at St Mary's. Speaking of Chelsea, they're still 0-0 with Brentford. Sorry, Scott. That's the latest score I've got from the bridge.
Whatever people say about Chelsea, how good they've been and how bad Brentford away from home, Brentford have won each and every time they've gone to the bridge since they've been promoted.
I heard Andy Jacobs say that on H&J on Friday. Paul and Andy back tomorrow from 1. Of course, it's the Andy Jacobs derby tonight. He's got a season ticket.
He has.
At the G-Tech. And if you get your value for money there.
You certainly do.
Goodness me, over 50 goals this season there in Brentford home games. Plenty of goals here tonight as well. All going in the one net though, in the Southampton net. 4 of them, if you're just tuning into Talksport. And it only took Spurs 39 seconds to get that scoring underway. Here is Matheus Fernandes for Southampton. Aribo out to Walker-Peters, wants a Spurs player. Fernandes tries to give it back to Walker-Peters on the underlap, but Jed Spence controlled that situation brilliantly on the left-hand side, put himself between man and ball, whips up the Tottenham fans who love that in that far corner, and Spurs win themselves a cheap goal kick. 4-0 up they are.
He's been brilliant, Spence. He really has from the word go. Helped set the tone for Spurs with that first minute goal, getting forward, but defensively he's been very strong, and now he's obviously playing on the other side, which is not easy, and I can speak on behalf of the fullbacks.
Now Pedro Porro stolen the ball from Matheus Fernandes and moves into the Southampton half. Attempted cross is deflected, but Papsar picks up the second ball, as so many Spurs players have tonight. Son now, left-hand corner of the area, up against Walker-Peters, goes on the outside of him, drives it off the post and the keeper. I think that came off the keeper and the post. A goal kick's been given. Son's absolutely convinced it's the corner. That's certainly hit the upright, and it's been given as a goal kick to Southampton. Again, so close to 5-0.
Well, I'm pretty sure, yeah, McCarthy's made a really good save, and it looks like it's come off the post, but no, that was going in.
It's currently Southampton 0, Tottenham 4. For the latest odds, why not head to Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage. We're right now, this feels almost cruel doing this. Southampton to win 500 to 1. England were 500 to 1 to win Botham's Ashes in 1981.
That's true.
Draw 150 to 1. Son to score 2 goals or more. He's already scored 1 tonight. That's priced at 2-1. It's all thanks to Betfair, who are paying out winning bets at 90 minutes with the 90-minute guarantee. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org is the website.
I don't see an Ian Botham out there right from now for Southampton, do you?
No. But Son is running down that left wing with all the pace of Bob Willis, steaming in to take 8 for 43. Really enjoying himself. Well, they all are, aren't they? In that sky blue Tottenham away strip, they are all enjoying themselves out there. Chelsea have the lead against Brentford, and it's Mark Cucurella who's given Chelsea a lead 2 minutes before half-time. That's live on Talksport 2 right now. They've had all the pressure, now they have a goal to show for it, Chelsea. Cucurella, what a transformation in that young man.
Incredible.
In his Chelsea career. Almost the forgotten man at the start of his time at Chelsea. Now one of the most important cogs in the machine. Here's an important cog in the Spurs machine. Dejan Kulusevski powering in field. Plays it to Son, who's unmarked inside the area. Shot is saved by McCarthy. Well, they must know what Son Heung-min looks like after all these years in the Premier League, but they left him all alone. Left-hand side of the area. Kulusevski found him, but Son's shot just found the midriff of Alex McCarthy. 4-0 Tottenham, last minute of the first half.
Well, if you're playing 5 at the back, there's no way that your opposition should be having the ball on one side and then just pass it across the other side and the winger, be completely free. You know, that right side centre-half has either got to tell his wing back to pull back in or be able to see that he can see it and pass the man that he's got on. There's no communication in this Southampton defence at all. Communication can stop you having to run 5, 10, 15 yards and, you know, give the opposition a chance there. Son should have done better, really. Could have had a hat-trick so far, couldn't he?
Yes. About to find out how much extra time. Is going to be 4 minutes of added on time, which the fourth official is just holding up now, Sam Barrett, as Southampton come forward. It's almost like prolonging the agony for Southampton fans. Some of them want to go for a pie and a pint. Some of them have already gone home, never mind go for a pie and a pint. As forward comes Kulusevski again, up to halfway. Got Ryan Madding backpedaling. Maddison's in acres of space in the centre circle, but Kulusevski tucks it back 10 yards further back for Spence. Now Maddison has it, just over the halfway line. So we're into that 4 minutes of minimum stoppage time now at the end of this first half. 4-0 to Tottenham. Russell Martin, hands in pockets, comes to the edge of his technical area. What a half-time team talk he's going to have to give. Ange Postecoglou may not have to say anything. He might just say, "It's who we are, mate," and leave it at that.
No, what he want to say is, look, go out and win the second half. I'm sure that's what Russell Martin was saying.
I would understand, given the injury problems that Tottenham have got, they do try and contain themselves a little bit. And
absolutely.
Step off a little bit, but
maybe even make some more substitutions.
Well, as we mentioned, there's those 4 young men from the Tottenham Academy. I wonder if any of them are going to get a run out tonight. Alfie Dorrington, Callum Olusesi and others. Here's Maddison out to the left-hand side and Jed Spence. Maddison again, faced up by Dibbling, has to go back to Sarr and then to Gray on the halfway line. Scott Minto, what you spotted?
No, I definitely put Will Lancashire on.
Yes.
You know, I saw him in the game against Galatasaray where he scored and got sent off, and he would have learnt a lot about how to play men's football and certainly European football as well. But
I'll tell you what, Danny Kelly would fancy a game right now.
Yeah. Put Danny up front.
He'll be listening to us right now, ready to pick up at half-time before he'll take your calls and bring you Trans-Euro Express later this evening on Talksport with Andy Brassel. But you all know where Danny's heart really lies.
He probably want to play in the number 10 role.
Yeah, take all the glory, right? Spence down the left-hand side of the area, pulls it back to the edge of the box, but it won't find Kulusevski. Matías Fernandes stepped in. 2 minutes of that minimum 4 have gone. Clear push from Solanke on Downs gives Southampton a free kick inside their own half, and it will be taken by Taylor Harwood-Bellis short to Tyler Dibbling, who did leave Southampton having come through as I think he started at 8, came to Chelsea for a little while, but I don't think he enjoyed his time too much in the Chelsea Academy, and before too long a deal was agreed to come back initially to Southampton on reduced terms.
And you know what? Fair play to him for doing just that. He could have tried to stay in there as much as possible. May well have been sold in the end because he was through the Chelsea academy.
Yeah.
But no, he's come back. He's playing first team football. He's growing all the time. He's a Premier League player now for me.
Ball sent into the Tottenham penalty area looking for a Rebo, but he was being watched by Porro, and Forster just plunges on the ball. We're into the final minute of the minimum stoppage time at the end of this first half on Talksport. Chelsea leading Brentford by a goal to nil. Russell Martin's already made his way back down the tunnel to the home changing room to prepare his half-time team talk. Might be preparing something else. A letter. Ball's worked back to Archie Gray. You've got to feel for Russell Martin, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he's got his principles. He said to me after they conceded a goal to Newcastle with a mistake at the back, "That's on me." That was the opening weekend of the season.
Yeah, look, he can't keep on doing that, Dance, but tonight hasn't been about that. It's not
No.
as if they've given away silly goals trying to play out from the back. They haven't even kept the ball. They haven't tried to play out from the back.
Now here's Maddison down the left-hand side of the area, gets to the byline, angles tight. How has he scored that? How on earth has James Maddison made that 5-0? That is quite sensational from James Maddison. The ball was fed to him down the left-hand side of the area. He kept it in play, and from the tightest and most improbable of angles, he swept it home into the opposite corner. Unbelievable strike from James Maddison. Sets the seal on a perfect first half for Tottenham, but a pathetic first half for Southampton. Right on half-time, it is Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 5.
Well, again, it's just far too easy. And it's James Maddison running in behind. Great bit of skill. And how does he get it in there? I don't know, but you can hear the boos as the half-time whistle goes. This is just unbelievable what we're witnessing. How good from Spurs, but how poor from Southampton.
Well, I could spend 5 minutes summing this first half, but Danny Kelly's waiting, so I'll just give you the bare facts. Southampton were 1-0 down in 39 seconds when James Maddison was set clear by Jed Spence, nutmegged the keeper, 1-0. Son Heung-min got his customary goal against Southampton for 2-0. 2 minutes after that on 14, Dejan Kulusevski made it 3. Twinkle Toes Papsar made it 4-0 on 25, and right on the whistle, Maddison gets his second of the night and Tottenham's fifth. Russell Martin missed that fifth goal. He was already in the home dressing room contemplating what on earth to say to his players with this half-time score at St Mary's on Talksport. Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 5.
Well, an amazing first half there between two teams, both of whom were in desperate need of a result. Only one of them is going to get it. I'm Danny Kelly, and welcome everybody to Game Day Exclusive. I'll be taking you through to the second half, and afterwards we'll be having the phone in here on Talksport. I'll tell you about that in a minute, but first let's talk about this first half with Scott Minto, who's been watching, I presume, with wide open eyes for the last 45 minutes. Scott, we'll get on to Spurs. There's been some discussion about Spurs being both the best team and the worst team in the Premier League. I'm sure that argument's now been solved because Southampton are the worst team in the Premier League.
No, they are by far, Danny, and you know, look, I don't like saying this, but this is the type of game that can get the manager the sack. And I've said on the Talksport Premier League All Access podcast that I do with Alex Crook and Sam Matterface that the Southampton hierarchy, even before tonight, I said I have to make a decision. Southampton are going down. So what are you going to do? Are you going to change the manager and say, okay, well, let's try and get someone to come in and play a little bit of a different way, make it more difficult to beat? But you're probably still going to go down anyway because, with respect, these players aren't good enough, and that's down to the recruitment and the hierarchy there. Or do you say, look, Russell Martin, what he did last season was fantastic, and he never stood a chance this season, if you want to go down that route. So we're going to stick with him and you know, go down and we'll go back up again. But we know what the Championship is like. I worked in it for 5 years. It's not that easy. Look at Leeds United. It's not that easy, but
Look what's happened to Luton this season.
Absolutely.
You know, having a decent season in the Premier League and going down doesn't guarantee anything.
It so doesn't, and it's so easy to plan ahead. But at the same time, I do feel for Russell, and it's not just because he's an English manager. And we obviously all want English managers to do well. But you know, he's playing the type of football which I like to watch. But I don't use the word naive, because you can chuck about that with Ange as well. It's not naive, it's just damn stubborn. And where Ange has got players that are much better, but still, if you're trying to get into the top 4 or win European competitions, I'm not quite sure you can. And maybe you can because they're cup competitions, but they're certainly not going to, they're a million miles away from the Premier League. But with the greatest of respect with these Southampton players, you're asking far too much of them. And I'm telling you now, they won't want the ball from the back and to play out when you're 2-0 down already. They just don't want that. Ask them to do something they're comfortable with.
But Scott, I mean, it was chaos. Anybody can concede an early goal. That happens to Premier League teams, good, bad, indifferent, week in, week out. It's what happened next that really would bother me. The Southampton players didn't reorganise themselves, allowed Spurs to play through them, around them and over them, until the manager had to make a change after 10, 11 minutes, which of course is going to destroy the kid who was taken off, Suleimana. But sorry, Scott, the question is, what happened after Spurs scored showed that Southampton is just chaos, isn't it?
No, it is, Danny, but I hear a lot of people, sort of played at my time and my era, saying, the players have to take responsibility and they have to move things around and have game management there. But what happened with Gary O'Neill, what he said after the game at the weekend? He said, players made the decision to change, and that I believe that we wouldn't have conceded that way. So modern day players, and because of that, there are a lack of leaders almost in all parts of the divisions and even the top end of the Premier League. It's just that they're technically that good. The way that managers manage nowadays, and Ange Postecoglou has even joked before last season that he almost wants to play PlayStation and have the little joystick and put his players in this particular position. That's what managers are like nowadays. Then players aren't allowed to make decisions, and when they do, the managers come out and criticise them for that. Now, Russell Martin's made a decision there, and look, no one wants to be taken off, before even the 15-minute mark, but he had to do something, Danny, but he's got to make sure he's not lost the player. He's got to apologise profusely to him and say, look, with respect, you've got to see that I had to do something.
Scott, the obvious, let's very quickly, let's just say Spurs took advantage of the weakness of their opponents, an incisiveness and a ruthlessness that has perhaps been lacking with Spurs in recent games. Really, they took advantage, didn't they?
Well, they did, and I can't really judge Spurs on tonight, Danny, because Southampton are really poor. Look, before tonight, of the last 33 Premier League games, they won 14 and lost 14. They very rarely draw. Since that loss to Chelsea last season, where you went down to 9 men, played 43, won 18, lost 19. Again, it's either win or lose, and that's the inconsistency that Spurs have. I like Ange and his style, I really do, but I don't really care whether Spurs win or lose, but I like to watch it. But you personally, and all the Spurs fans, are invested heavily in it. So while you like seeing the football, there's got to be a little bit more of a nuance to just, this is how we are, mate, this is how we play. Because then they might win a cup competition. I genuinely think that Spurs can this year. But in terms of getting into the top 4, you've got no chance.
Well, at the moment, Scott, I suspect by the end of this game they will have the best goal difference in the Premier League while being 10th place. So something is not quite right there as well. Let me just tell you, thank you, Scott, for now. Go and get your cup of Bovril or whatever your preferred beverage is. Let me just tell you that in the other game, very, very important game, it's Chelsea 1, Brentford 0 at Stamford Bridge. Mark Cucurella, what season he's having, by the way, with the goal after 43 minutes. That's a goal that takes Chelsea to within 2 points of Liverpool at the top of the table, albeit Liverpool still have a game in hand. We'll get back to what's been going on. We'll also bring you to the darts and much else besides in a few seconds' time. You're listening to the Game Day exclusive here on Talksport.
Game Day exclusive on Talksport with Sky Sports. Get the festive action, available with no contract, on now. 18 plus, stream our internet, terms apply.
Screwfix Sprint delivers from store to door in 60 minutes or less. So, whatever the job, you can do it with less faffing and more fixing. Less driving, more drilling. So don't break your stride. Screwfix Sprint. Order now exclusively on a Screwfix app. £5 delivery charge, no minimum spend. Don't stop. Sprint. Conditions and geographical restrictions apply. Selected products.
$1.39 at McDonald's gets you a delicious cheeseburger. $1.39 at a concert gets you... Testing. McDonald's Saver Menu. Actually get your money's worth. From 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary. Price varies on delivery, subject to availability.
You don't just check in to a village hotel. You work out. You jump in. You play on. You tuck in. And drink up. Village Hotels. 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities. And a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers and live sport. Check out villagehotels.com and work out, stay, meet and play.
You could skydive out of a plane. Or swim with sharks. You might even skinny dip in icy cold waters. Or you could get that inexpressible high, that guaranteed rush from finding just the thing you wanted, the thing you needed, at a great sale price. Winter sale ends soon. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Watching the big game cozied up in the snug. Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football!
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
At Betfair, we're about finding different ways to play. Like with our 90-minute guarantee. We've all been there. The clock ticks over into 90 minutes and then a speculative cross into the box ricochets off a knee and goes in, ruining your bet. But with Betfair's 90-minute guarantee, if your bet is winning at 90 minutes or full time, we pay out. Betfair. Play different.
Applies to match odds 90 market or markets with the 90 icon. Sportsbook exclusive. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
Football is back and it's game on. Get the ultimate football coverage with the Sun's free pull-out goals. With the best writers pitchside for in-depth match reports, it's all about goals. And with unrivaled news from the Premier League to League Two, it has to be goals. Stay up to date on all the latest football action. Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday, only in the Sun.
Game day exclusive on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
Madueke, great ball, Kukurea, fine header, 1-0 Chelsea. What a brilliant cross from Madueke, left-footed and in swinging, and there was Mark Kukurea to head home from close range, his first Premier League goal for Chelsea, and there can surely be no doubt that Chelsea this season under Enzo Maresca are right to the heart of the Premier League title race.
Now here's Maddison down the left-hand side of the area, gets to the byline, angles tight. How has he scored that? How on earth has James Maddison made that 5-0? That is quite sensational from James Maddison. The ball was fed to him down the left-hand side of the area. He kept it in play, and from the tightest and most improbable of angles, he swept it home into the opposite corner. Unbelievable strike from James Maddison. It is Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 5.
Yeah, Chelsea's goal against Brentford and one of Spurs' 5 there so far against Southampton. You can hear that Chelsea game. It's live right now over on Talksport 2. You can get all the action, of course, on the Talksport app. But now, listen to this. Going back to this afternoon's Manchester derby, Manchester United came from behind to win 2-1. And following another loss for his side, Talksport's Alex Crook caught up with the City boss, Pep Guardiola, who was asked where it all went wrong for his team.
Well, control the game was not in the situation that we had before the final of the game. Even with 2 or 3-0, we are not in control. So look what happened against Feyenoord with 3-0 up. And at the end, we could not win the game. That will help us to be qualified for the next round. So we are not playing in the way always we played, in the terms of the positional and the being the, and do it well. Now that is not happen, and we're struggling a little bit. And but in the moment, sometimes you have to take the results, get the games, to lift your mood. And we were close because except one action from Bruno Fernandes, that Anthony Taylor again concede an incredible fall for Doku that required to make a transition. They didn't create much. They had a little more ball the first and second. After we changed the shape, the pressing was a little bit better. And the problem was I would say that we give away again. So, but the reality, the reflection I have right now, I'm not good enough. So I'm the manager, because it's one action is every single player or every single action. I will fix it. But happen many times, something is I'm missing. The truth is I'm missing. So, and I had the feeling that always I found a way, to even the feet to find a way to say to the players, to tell to the players, to the training, the preparation. Always I had the way to get back. Now I'm not.
The big question is you say something is missing. How confident are you can find it again, and how quickly?
I have to. I would like to tell you quick, but with 8 to 10, I cannot tell you. This is the truth.
Yeah, an amazing interview there with Pep Guardiola. He cannot find a way. He says, listen, we'll be having a phone-in from 9 o'clock, myself and Scott Minto. I think Stuart Pearce will also join us. So much to talk about. When can we actually finally say it's an absolute crisis at Manchester City? We'll talk about Manchester United. Is that the end for Marcus Rashford, who's been one of the best players for years and years? We'll try and squeeze in Gary O'Neill. Are Wolves right to get rid of their manager? Chelsea's title challenge. And we'll have to talk about the Spurs and Southampton game as well. All of that from 9 o'clock. You know the number. It's 03717 223344, 03717 223344. Before we go back to St Mary's, let's get the latest from Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage.
Odds update on Talksport with Betfair. Get a completely free ACCA or bet builder on football this weekend. Opt-in and previous deposit required. Max free bet varies from £1 to £10 per customer. Minimum odds and T's and C's apply. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
Yeah, so it's a big hello to Alex Boyce. Hi, Alex. Give us the odds on both the Saints and Spurs game and Chelsea against Brentford.
Yeah, well, look, shall we start with Southampton? Because I'm going to tell you a secret. I had to drive right home after the pre-game slot we had here on Talksport, so not to miss as much as the first half as possible. And I walked in and missed 4 goals. I think we were expecting goals for Spurs, but 4 inside 25 minutes was not on my betting slip. I can tell you that. But what I can tell you is we had one UK backer on the Southampton 0, Spurs 5. Half-time to correct score at 325 to 1. That's the bet of the season, if you ask me. Looking at the half-time odds, I mean, you can't even back Spurs. The game's dead. The game's been and there. The Betfair traders are not offering us a price at 5-0, which tells its own story. Southampton, you can back them if you really want at 500 to 1 to win or draw this game. I think we can forget that. And what I can also tell you is we've had a flurry of bets on the 9-0 correct score here. Remember, that's the Premier League record that Southampton sadly hold twice over, having lost 9-0 to both Leicester and Manchester United.
Alex, thank you so much. I'm so sorry to cut you off in your prime because the game has kicked off again. It's an odds update, all thanks to Betfair.
Odds update on Talksport with Betfair. Get a completely free ACCA or bet builder on football this weekend. Opt-in and previous deposit required. Max free bet varies from £1 to £10 per customer. Minimum odds and T's and C's apply. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
Real apologies there, but so the game has kicked off at St Mary's. Let's get back to our commentary team, Scott Minto and Ian Danter.
We've played a minute and a half since the restart. Still Southampton 0, Tottenham 5. That was the half-time score when Leicester came here in October 2019 and ended up winning by 9-0. James Maddison, who scored at both ends of this first half, was playing for Leicester that night on a rainy night here at St Mary's. Now Spurs have made a change at half-time and they've given Son Heung-min the rest of the night off. Now he's got his customary goal against Southampton. Brennan Johnson's come on to replace him. Spurs are attacking the chapel end to our left-hand side in their change strip of the all sky blue with dark blue socks. Southampton in the red and white stripes with the black shorts and white socks. They're attacking the Northam stand to our right. And I think it's fair to say, Scott Minto, there's a good deal more empty seats around us, and in the safe standing areas there is more gaps than there were at the end of the first half. I don't think many people are going to drift back to their seats, certainly in the home areas. as away comes Ryan Manning down the left-hand side for Southampton to the left-hand corner of the penalty area. Collides with Spence. He's still got the ball, Manning, going into the area. Dragusin helps to win the ball back, and Spurs will get it clear. So a reminder of the lineups. For Southampton, McCarthy the keeper, Walker-Peters, Harwood-Bellis, Wood, Bednarek and Manning at the back. Fernandez, Downs, Aribo and Dibbling behind Armstrong. Sulemana was substituted not long after the third Spurs goal went in to allow Wood to come on as an auxiliary centre-half. For Tottenham, Forster is in goal. It's Spence, Gray, Dragusin and Porro who had to come on for the injured Destiny Udogie in the first half. Bergvall, Sarr and Maddison in midfield. Kulusevski, Solanke and now Johnson in the front three for Tottenham. Solanke, the central striker, not scored yet tonight. Ball through from Kulusevski, almost snaked its way through to Maddison running through the centre of the field. But it was won back by Southampton at the edge of the area. I think it was Harwood-Bellis that got the important foot in. And now Tyler Dibbling makes a run down the right-hand side, just beneath our commentary position, and wins a throw. Scott Minto.
Yeah, you gave me an extra 60 or so seconds, and there are a few more people coming back. But yeah, I wonder if there's going to be certainly a percentage of fans that will just carry on walking. I mean, it was just the most horrendous first half that any Saints fan, Russell Martin and the players could have wished for. I mean, I was going to say it 3-0 and then the fourth one came. I remember being 3-0 down for West Ham against Manchester United when they're in their pomp. That was after 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And we're thinking, oh my goodness. We pulled it back to 3-2. Paolo Di Canio had a really good chance to make it 3-3. We lost 4-2, but we got cheered off in the end. But my goodness me, 4-0, 5-0. And it's just a question of how many goals Spurs want to score. But at the same time, you know, they've got important games coming up. They've got Manchester United in the Cup. They've got Liverpool at home, Forest away, a Christmas period. Now, those games are difficult. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And I wouldn't blame them if they were just a little bit, OK, well, let's just manage this game and not play at the same intensity. And certainly with the injuries that Ange's got and Spurs have right now, you know, you don't want to be making a long busting run. You pull your hamstring and you're out for 6 weeks when you're 5-0 up.
Free kick to Southampton, just in front of the centre circle. Matias Fernandez swings it in, comes off the back of Harwood-Bellis. Kept in play on the far side by Bergvall. He's been dispossessed by Harwood-Bellis. Cross into the area, toe poked clear by Dragusin for Tottenham. Out to the left-hand side, and Manning drives across along the 18-yard line, intercepted by Maddison, and he releases Kulusevski, who's only got Kyle Walker-Peters ahead of him as he moves into the Southampton half of the field. Checks his run, a few more players get behind the ball for Southampton. Kulusevski into the area, then rolls it all the way back to the midway point of the half for Porro. And the counter-attack is over, for the time being at least, as everyone in red and white is back behind the ball now. Out to the left-hand side it goes from Brennan Johnson, fresh onto the field. In it goes to Papsar. A shout of "get in there" from a Southampton fan. I heard that. I think Scott heard it as well. I think
the players heard it.
Get into them. Come on, get into them is the chant I remember as a boy. They do seem to be standing off. They've won it back as Kyle Walker-Peters wraps his foot around to dispossess Johnson, and then Aribo goes to ground under pressure from Spence, and Tottenham have it back. 6 minutes gone in the second half. It is as it was at the break. Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 5.
And look, I do get it, the fans want to see effort, but when you're lacking in confidence so much, you know, you feel like you're carrying 2, 3, 4 kilos extra. You're running in treacle. And if you go and the others don't follow you, then you're literally just wasting energy that you might need to conserve for a little bit later. It's not what the fans want to hear, but it's just where they are right now. This team is just not good enough for the Premier League, with tactics that were never going to work. I'm sorry, were never going to work. And Russell Martin said at the start of the season, I know I'm going to be criticised, but it's such a big jump between the Championship and the Premier League, playing against some of the best players, best teams in the world. You can't have the recruitment that you've got. And these are good players. They're good players, but they're not very, very good players. They're not top Premier League players. And you've been asked to play a certain style. So if you haven't quite got that quality and you're asking to play real, pure football, It's just an absolute recipe for disaster. I mean, both these managers, I think, are incredibly stubborn. I admire them for their principles, but I do think for both of them, ultimately they will fall on their sword, one earlier than the other.
Manning lofts the ball downfield. Adam Armstrong's in behind the Spurs back line, drives it goalwards, and it's only just the wrong side of the post, and the flag goes up anyway against the Southampton number 9, who got in behind Archie Gray, got to the edge of the area, drove it low, past Forster, but it beat the far post as well. Free kick to Tottenham, 5-0 they lead.
Well, again, better. You know, Southampton aren't going to win this game, but they can try and show character and
try and win the half.
Win the half and do what their fans want them to see, not give up. They're outplayed, they're not good enough. It's been a tough season already. They're going down, I'm sorry, I don't like saying that even before Christmas, but they are. But just show as much effort as you possibly can. But again, I go back to the fact there's no point in one person running if everyone else isn't going to follow.
Some promoted teams do well. You think of Bournemouth and Fulham in recent seasons, who've adjusted to life extremely well back at this level. I don't think it's a given that just because you've been in the Championship last year, immediately you go down the next season. I think that if that happens over the course of 3 or 4 campaigns in a row, fine, we'll have that conversation, Scott, we'll have that argument. But right now, Southampton it is just about poor recruitment based on what they had.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, those teams that you mentioned, and I actually used Brentford as the example. I was covering Brentford in the Championship when they were playing fantastic football. You know, and they were the team that was bossing it, possession stats, they were much higher than pretty much anyone else they were playing. As soon as they went up, Thomas Frank said, we can't do it like this. So we're going to go a little bit longer, we're going to rely more on set pieces, even long throws. We'll play 3 at the back against, or 5 at the back against the real big boys. He tweaked it, he changed it. And then you get the right sort of players in to suit that style. But, you know, as we saw with Burnley, as we've seen with Southampton here, you can't do it. You can't do it. You can't dominate the Championship and then expect to play exactly the same way as the Premier League. It's too big a job.
10 minutes gone in the second half. Southampton in possession, 5-0 down on halfway with Matías Fernandes. Fires it back to Nathan Wood, who came on in the middle of that maelstrom of goals in the first half to try and tighten up the Southampton back line. Dibbling, another lovely ball with the outside of his boot, finds Armstrong, does he just can't get his toe in on the ball as he ran into the area. If he'd just got a nick on that, he'd have took it round Fraser Forster and had a chance on goal. Another lovely pass from Tyler Dibbling to try and find him. But now Maddison looks to release Kulusevski down the right hand side. He won't catch up with that ball. It was hit too firm and too straight from Maddison, and it ends up being a Southampton goal kick. Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 5 on Talksport. Yeah, Scott Minto.
You mentioned Tyler Dibbling now. I mean, I saw him come on against Brentford earlier in the season, and I thought straight away, wow, what a talent. I think he is a sensational talent. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes next, because he won't be staying at Southampton. But I also like the way that Adam Armstrong has played as well. He's never given up. He's always tried to make those runs in behind. He's looked dangerous. He just hasn't been given the quality, and he's been inches away at times from scoring.
Tottenham in possession in their own defensive third. Dragusin just to the right of his own penalty area. Finds Porro, tucks it down the touchline. Lovely spin from Kulusevski, and with no room at all to work in, he somehow won himself a throw off Joe Aribo. So it's now 36 goals in the Premier League for Spurs. That means they've overtaken Chelsea now, right, doesn't it, in terms of goals scored in the Premier League? Only Manchester City have had better possession stats than Spurs this season, and they're enjoying a lot of the ball here tonight against Southampton. 67% of it, although it's with Southampton at the moment and Dibbling.
Aren't Chelsea on 36 as well with that goal they've got tonight?
Yes, Cucurella with a goal. That's live on Talksport 2 right now. Still Chelsea 1, Brentford 0. That goal from Cucurella just shy of half time. Bergvall just has a little nibble at Flynn Downs, and it will be a free kick to Southampton. Sugawara is getting ready to come on. I think Brennan Johnson's just been booked for kicking the ball away, or was it Pedro Porro? It was Johnson who got the yellow card, kicking the ball away, and it will be Ryan Manning that's going to go off for Southampton to allow the substitute to come on, Sugawara from Japan, the second Japanese player to play for Southampton after Mayo Yoshida. He's a right back, joined from RZ on a multi-year deal. He'll be on in a second for Southampton. Meanwhile, here's Taylor Harwood-Bellis, centre of his own half. Not really been pressed by the Tottenham front line. They're happy to let Southampton have it. And goes out right to Kyle Walker-Peters. Cost £12 million when Southampton bought him from Tottenham in 2020. Manning, who's about to be substituted, tucks it back to Bednarek. And now it's Harwood-Bellis looking for Walker-Peters once again. On this near side, the Southampton right as they attack the Northam stand in this second period on Talksport. Back again it goes to Ryan Manning as they switch play from right to left, the hosts. Then it's clipped down the left-hand side, and Matis Fernandez, good quick feet from him, keeps the ball in play, rolls it infield to the centre of the half, and Joe Aribo dummies and then sends the ball out to Walker-Peters, right-hand corner of the area. Trying to go on the outside of Spence. In the end, he'll leave it for Dibbling. Dibbling will give it back to Taylor Harwood-Bellis. Tyler Dibbling again. Doesn't put the ball into the box, rolls it back for Wood in the centre of the half. Now it's going to be worked back out to the left again via Bednarek to Manning. Only really Armstrong outside the area. Lots of Southampton players deeper than that. In it goes looking for Armstrong. Spence with a confident header to keep it away from Armstrong. Bergvall tries to hook it clear. It will bounce kindly for Porro, who hooks it back over his head, but Southampton have won it back with Manning on the left-hand side, and he does well to work it back to Bednarek. Now Wood on halfway. Squares it to his right for Harwood-Bellis. That's a good ball, progressive ball forward for Walker-Peters. Immediately tried to slide in Armstrong, and it was put behind by Archie Gray for a Southampton corner right on the hour on Talksport. Southampton 0, Spurs 5.
Again, Adam Armstrong, his movement is really, really good. You know, if his finishing could match his movement, it'd be on 15 goals a season in the Premier League for sure. Very nearly in there. Archie Gray, I mean, I think this kid is a massive, massive talent. I can't wait till he actually plays in his proper position.
Well, the question that follows on from that is, what would Archie Gray's prime position be? Because he's played in so many.
He's a midfielder.
Oh, yeah.
He's a central midfielder. He can be one of those holders.
Manning with the corner, deep to the far post. Bergvall can't get a touch. It's cleared just from in front of his own goal line by Dominic Solanke. There's half a chance there for Southampton from the pinball in the box, but it stays 5-0 to Tottenham. Manning again down the right-hand side, looking to outpace Porro, but Porro puts himself between man and ball. Goal kick given, much to the dismay of the Southampton fans who are still behind that goal at the Northam stand end.
Yeah, it was unlucky. It was a decent touch as he brought it down. There's a good little race between him and Porro. That's what you want. The fans want to see passion from their player. And actually, he's probably right as we're just looking at the replay. He's kicked it against Pedro Porro, but just on Archie Gray. You know, he's probably I don't want to say old school, because he's not old school. You're box-to-box player. He can control games just sitting in front of the back four, but he can also get forward as well. And all the time he's playing at full-back, left-back, right-back, centre-half. He's learning his trade, he's becoming stronger. He's only 18 years of age, playing for a club the size of Tottenham Hotspur. Against the big boys, I think he's done brilliant so far this season.
So, Yukinari Sugawara is on. Ryan Manning is off. He got a little low five from Ange Postecoglou as he walked past him to get to the Southampton dugout. Did Ryan Manning. And players restarted. 62 minutes played. Spurs 5-0 up on Talksport. Chelsea still 1-0 up on Talksport 2 against Brentford. Earlier today, Brighton lost 3-1 at home to Crystal Palace. And Manchester United won the derby with 2 late goals. Manchester City were in front for such a long time, but then a Bruno Fernandes penalty 2 minutes before the 90, and then Amad Diallo with some outrageous skill to win the game on the 90-minute mark. 1 win in 11 for Pep Guardiola's men. Danny Kelly will be taking your calls on all of today's Premier League action for an hour straight after this commentary. 03717 2-2, 3-3, 4-4. Meantime, Tottenham have got a corner at the chapel end to our left. It's swung in by Maddison into the near post. Fernandez heads clear. Kulusevski will get to the loose ball first. Tries to give it back to Maddison. Maddison swirls it in, but it's actually quite a comfortable catch for McCarthy in his 6-yard box. 5-0 to Tottenham Hotspur. Here's Scott Minto.
Yeah, well, the first thing that Southampton have to do is stem the flow, and that's what they've done. They're up against a side that knows that they've got the game won, so have dropped a few levels, but still, they could be conceding in the second half. They haven't. And then can you go on and score goals yourself? Well, they haven't done it as yet, but they have looked dangerous at times, and Armstrong his movement is very, very good. But the biggest thing is character. Are you wanting the ball? Are you trying to show that despite you being 5-0 down, losing the game, bottom of the table, looking like you're going down already before Christmas, can you show character?
Tyler Dibbling for Southampton. Good run to the edge of the area. Went for the strike for goal from 25 yards. It came off the backside of Jed Spence, and Spurs will clear their lines. Kulusevski inside his own half flicks it down this near touchline, but it will drift over the touchline before Solanke can get near it. Adam Armstrong is the player who scored the goal that gave Southampton their only win this season. That was the 1-0 win against Everton here. And his Premier League goal tally isn't great. He's got 2 this season, but in Southampton's previous Premier League forays he's struggled in front of goal. But it's not for the want of trying, as Scott Minto's already been describing to you. Just over 25 minutes to go on Talksport. Spurs 5-0 up, cruising. Southampton have possession with Flynn Downs on halfway. Tucks it in field to Matheus Fernandes. Back for Harwood Bellis now, who will bring the ball into Tottenham territory. 2 to his right, misses out Dibbling, and Sugawara takes over. Now Dibbling has it again. Kyle Walker-Peters incidentally has gone across to the left hand side since Sugawara came on, so Walker-Peters playing in Manning's place. Here's a Rebo, bit of space to run into, finds Walker-Peters, left hand corner of the area, faced up by Porro, checks on his right and hits it into the side netting. That's as close as Southampton have come. Kyle Walker-Peters puts his hands on top of his head. He knows how close that was, to at least give the scoreline a hint of respectability for Southampton. Goal kick.
Yeah, and he's so versatile. He's able to play as a left back or even a left wing back. Going into the box, I'm thinking Pedro Porro can't allow him to come inside, and then what happens, you see so often, the shot goes through the defender's legs. I think Forster will believe that he had it covered, but it just went the wrong side of the post. But again, better from Southampton.
But it remains 5-0 to Spurs on Talksport. Got more football to come. Bournemouth against West Ham, live tomorrow night on Monday night game night, with Adrian Durham and Sam Matterface and Danny Murphy down at the Vitality. 8 o'clock kickoff. Whilst over on Talksport 2, tomorrow lunchtime, our coverage of the PDC World Darts Championship will get fully underway from Alexandra Palace. Luke Humphreys in action tonight, the defending champion, and we'll bring you exclusive darts on the radio right the way through until the final on January the 3rd. Can't wait to get up to North London tomorrow to see the darts on the radio team and get underway.
Has Dean Saunders got a pass to it?
Yeah, Dean Saunders, he thought that win in the Talksport darts tournament gave him an instant qualification to be one of the 96. I had to gently remind him that no, the PDC's got slightly more stringent rules than that. If he wins next year's, maybe he's got a chance.
Yeah. Triple winner.
Ball's back with Dragusin on halfway for Tottenham. We've reached the midway point almost of the second half. Papsar, who weaved his way into the Southampton box to score one of the 5 goals in the first half. Jed Spence just takes a little energy pouch from one of the Spurs ancillary staff down beneath us to give him a bit of a boost.
You know what I would say, fair play to the Southampton fans. Obviously there are some that have gone, but there's a lot that are still here, and they're not getting on top of their team where they could easily. It's been an improved second half performance, but it's too little too late. Spurs have won the game. They've dropped down to second gear, but the fans have never really, it's not been toxic here
not
tonight, and it could have been.
It's a very good point. They've been quiet, but not angry or vociferous or knee-jerk.
I'll take quiet at 5-0 down.
Tyler Dibbling down the right-hand side for Southampton as we move into the last quarter of the game. Works it back calmly to Taylor Harwood-Bellis and into the centre of the field and Nathan Wood. Further across for Bednarek. What a reintroduction for him into Premier League life after a month out. The Polish centre-half. He drills the ball for Dibbling. Lovely pass. Dibbling takes it on his left thigh. He's got Sugawara on the overlap, but he elects not to use him. Now Sugawara will get it from Harwood-Bellis. Infield it goes to Dibbling once again with his socks. Well, has he even got socks on? You can barely see him. Sugawara looking to go on the outside of Spence. Hits the cross against Spencer, wins a corner, does he, for Southampton? Yes, indeed, he does. Southampton 0, Tottenham 5. It's still Chelsea 1, Brentford 0 over on Talksport 2. Incidentally, that first half strike late on from Mark Cucurella still separating the sides at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention Jed Spence as well. I thought he started the game superbly, set up that first goal, attacked well, and then he's been playing left back, out of position. People might turn around and say, well, it's still full back. No, it's different. Your whole body shape is different. But he's defended well. Hasn't got us forward as much at left back, but played really well tonight.
Corner from Southampton, deep to the far post. Harwood-Bellis tried to get us head in it. Spurs only get it half clear. Aribo, left-hand corner, lobs it into the area. Nathan Wood strikes it wide on the volley inside the 6-yard box. It was a lovely cross from Joe Aribo, and Nathan Wood in at the far post from that left-footed cross steered it the wrong side of the post, and it stays 5-0 to Tottenham.
Oh, it's a centre half at the far post on the volley, isn't it? Not quite know whether he's actually having a shot. I actually think he's just sort of trying to put it back in there, but no one's really in there. If that's Adam Armstrong on the volley, he's shaping to shoot. Unfortunately, no one's quite able to get towards the far post there. But again, I have to say, better from Southampton.
That's the thoughts of Scott Minto alongside me, Ian Danter-Scott, former West Ham, Chelsea and Benfica fullback. You're listening to Southampton 0, Tottenham 5 on Talksport with Sky Sports. Don't forget, you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on Now, like Bournemouth versus West Ham live tomorrow. Search Now Sports for all the deets. Free kick as Spence has a pull on the shirt of Tyler Dibbling. So a free kick with 20 minutes to go. And Spurs appear to have declared. Downs knocks it down for Sugawara. Now Dibbling again. Languid stride of this young teenager from the Southampton Academy. And calmly rolls it back to Taylor Harwood-Bellis.
It's a good way of putting it. Spurs have declared, haven't they? That's it. They're just playing.
And given their injury, I mean, they've got another one tonight in Destiny Udogie. We don't know the extent of how badly he's injured, but I fully understand why any team, I don't care what level they play at, just steps it down a couple of levels when they're protecting players, when they're not just down to the bare bones, they're down to the marrow.
And do you know what, even if they weren't, I would understand it at 5-0. You know, game's done, you've done the hard work already. Big Christmas period coming up, both in terms of amount of games.
I thought you were going to say big Christmas dinner coming up. We've got roast turkey and roasties waiting for him back in the dressing room.
That was back in our day. They don't do that nowadays, do they?
I have no idea. I would very much doubt it.
No, I do remember actually my old family having the full Christmas dinner, me having pasta and chicken and thinking,
You athlete.
Still, I loved it. Boxing Day game and the first game of the season, the best two games of the season.
Sacrifices, eh? I bet you made up for it the first Christmas. You didn't have to eat pasta and chicken on Christmas Day.
I used to make up for it most Saturday nights.
Let's say no more about that. 71 minutes played on Talksport. Southampton 0, Tottenham 5. Here comes Spurs down the right-hand side with Johnson. But he elects not to go on the outside of him, and it's worked back to Papsar. Bit of space for Spence on this near side, the Tottenham left. Near the left-hand corner of the Southampton box. Plays a 1-2 with Sarr and then rolls it calmly back to Archie Gray. Gray into Bergvall, just ahead of the centre circle. The Swede just turns away from Matheus Fernandes, who is closing down the space. And now Gray again slides it out to Spence on this left-hand side. Sarr back to halfway for Gray once more, and Spurs are just happy to knock the ball about.
It's what they call game management.
Yeah. And keep even more of that possession. We mentioned that only Manchester City before today had better possession stats than Tottenham. They may well be challenging that with this performance tonight on average. Johnson down the right hand side gets the cross in. Solanke went down claiming he was pushed, nothing doing, but James Maddison picks up the loose ball, finds Kulusevski left hand side of the area, tried to flick it back into the path of Maddison, but Sugawara was there, got it clear, takes it around Pap Sarr. That's neatly done from the full-back, and then him and Sarr collapse in a heap, and Tyler Dibbling comes away with the ball. Tyler Dibbling up to the right-hand corner of the area, goes for goal, decent effort, but comfortable save for Fraser Forster. And a double change coming up, and Alfie Dorrington, a centre-half who came to Tottenham when he was 13 years of age, he's 19 now. He's going to get an opportunity as a Premier League player, coming on for Jed Spence, and Timo Werner is going to be on as well after the dressing down he got not once but twice from his manager. Let's see what he can do and how motivated he is to perform. He's going to come on for James Maddison with just over a quarter of an hour to go on Talksport. 5-0 Tottenham lead.
James Maddison needs to look over and realise that he's coming off and somehow grab the ball and see if he can get that hat-trick. I don't think it's going to happen now.
There are one or two fans to our right in the Northam end chanting "We want Martin out" in the safe standing areas that have been erected at that end of the ground on the far side from us. Kulusevski wins it back for Tottenham, tries to play it in field for Solanke. Good defending from Harwood Bellis. Got himself between Solanke and the ball and won it back. Here is Matthias Fernandes. Dorrington and Werner waiting, just bopping up and down at the edge of the technical area, waiting for the ball to go out of play. Southampton players now ironically cheering every completed pass that they manage. It's Harwood Bellis with it, backwards a square to Bednarek, and then across to Wood. It's almost cruel. Out it goes from Aribo to Walker-Peters on the left-hand side, being hassled and harried by Pap Sarr. Works it back to Bednarek. Bednarek with a ball across the penalty area, lofted to the right-hand side and brought down very neatly by Taylor Harwood Bellis. And now Yukinari Sugawara knocks it into Bednarek. The Polish centre-half rolls it out to Walker-Peters, but Southampton still inside their own half. Still Dorrington and Werner away. Long ball downfield looking for Adam Armstrong, but again it's an aerial ball, which is asking a lot of a player in Adam Armstrong, who is not 6 foot tall.
No, and Jed Spence did really well again. Just read the situation, came across, headed it back. Another good bit of play from the fullback, but I don't really understand why Andrew's not. Well, one, why he's bringing on Timo Werner. We know what we get from Timo Werner, whether it's good or whether it's not. Why not put someone like Will Lancashire on? Dominic Solanke has been, funny enough, reasonably quiet tonight. He hasn't really had to do too much, and he's brought the ball down at times and done really well, but why not put on Lancashire and put on more of the kids? You've got 15 minutes to go, you're 5-0 up, you're not going to lose, give them experience.
Well, James Maddison, who had the armband, has not left the field yet because he's gone to give the captain's armband to the former Southampton goalkeeper Fraser Forster. Spencer's made his way off. So welcome to the Premier League, 19-year-old Alfie Dorrington. And he will play alongside Dragusin. That means Archie Gray has moved to left back. Maddison off, Werner on. And let's see what the German can do to redress the balance after the criticisms levelled at him by his manager after the Rangers game on Thursday night that you heard live on Talksport 2.
I'm sure Archie Gray has only not played as striker and goalkeeper in his first season for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Well, you never want to be a victim of your own versatility as a player, but as you say, you would love to see Archie Gray play in a more natural position. Chelsea 2-0 up on Brentford. Nicholas Jackson gets the second. That will surely seal the points for Enzo Maresca's meant to close that gap on Liverpool at the top. Dare we say it, Scott Minto?
Not yet, Dance. Not yet.
So what We made this mistake with Leicester City. We ruled them out of the title race 2015-16 week after week.
There's an exception to every rule, and Leicester City is one of the greatest stories in the history of football, let alone English football. Can't keep on chucking Leicester.
Yeah, well, Leicester team cost a lot less than the Chelsea team has.
Just about probably 1.1 billion less.
Yes, that little. Here's Pedro Porro for Tottenham. Been dispossessed by Walker-Peters into the area for Southampton. Walker-Peters, can he find a teammate? Trying to pull it back, it's deflected and headed away by Timo Werner. Wood heads it down, dibbling at the edge of the area, goes for goal, and he hits the post behind the goal, holding the netting up at the back, and it'll end up just being a goal kick to the visitors. 78 minutes gone on Talksport. Another half chance for the Saints, but it remains Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 5.
He just reeks of class, doesn't he, Tyler Dibbling?
Go, not many.
I mean, he gets the ball, and because he's got that kind of languid style, it doesn't look like he's that quick. But I saw him tracking back a little bit early, and Brennan Johnson didn't beat him for pace. Maybe half a yard, no more than that, but it meant Kulusevski didn't play him in.
Now Flynn Downs has won it high up the field, lobs it into the area. Matis Fernandes has scored, but would you believe it, the flag goes up for offside. He did look offside, in fairness. It's a beautiful ball swept in from Flynn Downs. Matis Fernandes stooped to head it home, but just to sum up Southampton's night, the flag goes up. VAR will take a look, but he's off.
Oh, come on, referee's assistant. He's only a yard and a half off. let them off. Give them a goal. Listen.
No room for sentiment in the Premier League.
No, of course not.
The one that was up on the Jumbotron screen has quickly been changed back to 0. Just over 10 minutes to go. Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 5. It would appear that Tottenham are not going to go through the gears and give Southampton fans that feeling of deja vu from October 2019, when Leicester came here and won by 9 goals to 0.
No, you hit the nail on the head when you said they declared. Yeah. So they're quite happy with that. But again, I just want to mention Archie Gray now playing left back. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, because I think when he's a little bit older and out of his teens, he's going to be an even better player for it. But to ask an 18-year-old kid to go from, I know Leeds United is a massive club, and for me one of the biggest top 10 clubs in the country, but they are where they are as a team. For him to come to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club and be 18 years of age, the price tag that's on him, and not be playing in his proper position, but playing absolutely everywhere but his proper position, and yet not looking out of place, I think it just shows the class of the kid. It really does.
10 minutes to go on Talksport. Spurs 5-0 up, and Cameron Archer's about to come on as a straight swap for Adam Armstrong up top for the Saints for these last few minutes. But he won't make the change just yet, because Taylor Harwood-Bellis is down, got caught by Dominic Solanke. You're listening to Southampton 0, Tottenham 5 on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. Talksport breakfast back in the morning with Jeff Stelling and Ali McCoist, recapping everything that's gone on in the sporting weekend. You've got some live cricket tonight. England are under pressure in Hamilton in the 3rd test. New Zealand with a healthy second innings lead. And our coverage will start over on Talksport 2 straight after the Chelsea-Brentford game has finished. That's currently 2-0 to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, live on Talksport 2 right now. Southampton are making that change. Archer coming on for Armstrong. And the darts continues from tomorrow lunchtime on Talksport 2, day 2 of the PDC World Darts Championship. And Will Lancashire has just come on. You mentioned him earlier, Scott Minto, and Dominic Solanke's getting a rest.
Absolutely. Could have been done even earlier, to be honest with you, but certainly the right decision. Game 1.
Long ball downfield that Forster will claim on the bounce. Lancashire's 19, made his debut in the Europa League this season against Ferencváros. Scored 32 goals for the academy side last year.
Yeah, he needs to play men's football now and get at least as many minutes on the pitch in men's football as possible.
Well, the ball's going up to him now. Might get to it. No, Bergvall has picked it up instead for Tottenham and worked it back.
I just think when you're talking about the amount of injuries Tottenham have, you know, how important Dominic Solanke is for this club and the team. Why not just bring him off a little bit earlier and give Lancashire more minutes, more experience in a game that you know you've already won?
Well, I'm sure somebody like Mikey Moore would love to be on the bench at a time like this. He's injured at the moment, but he would be another player that would surely have got minutes in this game situation right now. 83 minutes gone, 5-0 to Tottenham. Brennan Johnson and Kulusevski combining on the right-hand side. Kulusevski now knocks it back to Porro, and he will just calmly pass back to Dorrington. This teenager taking his Premier League bow this evening, playing alongside Dragusin. He's got the physicality, Dorrington. He's got the broad shoulders, hasn't he, Scott, for a centre-half. Here's Papsar making a run through the middle. Lancashire gets into the area right-hand side, trying to muscle his way past Nathan Wood, but Wood defended it well and let it go behind for a Southampton goal kick. Southampton 0, Tottenham 5.
Yeah, good defending from Wood, but that's exactly what Lancashire needs to do. Again, I talk about men's football. Academy goals, brilliant. Well done. Massive step up, though. And he wants to be playing against, you know, men. Okay, albeit Southampton, the bottom team of the club, are getting used to what it's like against a big centre-half. How do you make your runs? How do you get that extra half a yard? How do you get in between the full-back and the centre-half, or even two of the centre-halves? He's learning all the time now while he's on the pitch.
At the PDC World Darts, the French qualifier Thibaut Tricol has beaten Joe Comito by 3-1. That means later tonight he will meet Luke Humphreys, the reigning champion in round 2. Southampton got some defending to do as the ball sent into the box from the Spurs left by Archie Gray, but it was dealt with well enough. Now here's Harvard Bellis in the 6-yard box, protects it from Timo Werner with just over 5 minutes to go. And yeah, there are a healthy number of Southampton fans who have stayed in their seats. Yes, there are gaps. Yes, there are red seats staring at us that were vacated either just before half-time or on half-time, but there's still a very good proportion of Southampton fans. But I'll be very interested to hear what their reaction is, Scott Minto, when the final whistle goes.
Yes, well, we know what it's going to be. We know what fans are like, you know, even if they're doing okay but lose a game, and that's why I kind of said, and perhaps I didn't say it quite in the right way a good few weeks ago when I said about, well, it's not proper booing. You know, by that I mean that the modern day fan, when their team loses, they boo every single time.
Kulusevski gets up to the edge of the area, fires it right for Brennan Johnson. Heavy first touch, but he still manages to win a corner off Bednarek. And Spurs will have a corner in front of those delighted Tottenham fans. Now another injury, Bergvall. Oh, it's cramp, I think, for the young Swede, needing a bit of cramp attended to by Alfie Dorrington.
But trust me, I know the difference, and players know the difference between a boo that their team has just lost and a boo where they're absolutely not being toxic, but just absolutely on top of the players. And I think the first half they were completely outclassed. The second half they've shown character. Yes, there will be boos, but I think the Southampton fans are educated enough to know that this team they're watching, one, aren't good enough, and two, can't play this type of football.
Short corner from Kulusevski in front of those Spurs fans on the far side. It's worked infield to Sarr, 30 yards out. He goes for goal. It's well held by McCarthy. It was straight at him, but he had to hold on to it because Lancashire and Johnson were herring in at him if he hadn't held on to it. Stays 5-0 to Tottenham. Don't forget, Danny Kelly will be taking your calls on all of today's football stories. Manchester United winning the Manchester derby with the last gasp goal from Amad Diallo. Brighton losing at home to their bitter rivals Crystal Palace by 3-1. And Chelsea getting within touching distance of Liverpool at the top, beating Brentford 2-0 right now, live on Talksport 2. 2-1 now. Brentford have just got a goal back at Stamford Bridge.
Interesting.
Maybe a bit of a game on there in the last few minutes. It is Mbermo on 90 minutes who's made it 2-1. But here at St Mary's, 03717 22 Southampton fans pick the bones out of this one with Danny Kelly on Talksport. And Spurs fans, is there a more frustrating team in English football to watch than a Spurs team that wins or loses, never seems to draw that many? It always seems to be the peaks or the troughs. Here's Timo Werner, who was definitely in the troughs in midweek with his performance against Rangers, and a poor ball up to the edge of the area, comfortably dealt with by Bednarek. Don't really know who Werner was looking for with that lofted pass. 2 minutes of normal time to go. Dibbling for Southampton. They'd love to get a goal just to win the second half, and Dibbling schemes his way into the area, left hand side, gets to the dead ball line, doesn't cross it, checks back. He's got support out there on that left hand side from Downs and also from Walker Peters. He rolls the ball back to the former Spurs man. Now Aribo. Across it goes to Harwood Bellis. Sugawara calling for it on the right wing, gets it now. Chance to measure across into the box from Sugawara. Comes off Timo Werner. Sugawara tries to strike it, goal from a tight angle, blocked by Gray, and then a shot from Harwood Bellis is straight at Forster, and it stays 5-0 to Ange Postecoglou's side as we edge towards added time. Scott Minto.
Well, Timo Werner gave the ball away and kind of jogged back, but at least he got himself into a position that stopped one of the crosses coming in. And just to sort of finish on Tyler Dibbling, well, maybe not finishing him, but continue the conversation. I talked about actually he's deceptively quick, and yet that's not his biggest asset. His biggest asset is his skill, the way he runs with the ball, and the ball seems to be glued to his foot. With his socks down and not quite hair long, he reminds me of a left-footed Jack Grealish.
Yeah, he's a little taller maybe than Jack.
Yes, he is.
But I take the point nonetheless. There's 7 minutes of added time, incidentally, at Stamford Bridge. If you want to check out the last few minutes on Talksport 2. And we're about to go into 3 minutes of added time at the end of this second period, as away goes Timo Werner into the box with a cross, and it's turned over the crossbar. Massive chance for Brennan Johnson to make it 6, but he hit the ball into the turf in the 6-yard box, and the ball bounced over the bar for a Southampton goal kick. He might have been offside as well from the ball in, so it may not have counted. Stays 5-0.
Yeah, I think he would have been offside. But that is Timo Werner at his very best, on his left foot as well, taking the touch, whipping the ball in. Keeper can't come out, defenders can't get close to it, and it just comes off the bottom of his foot rather than the instep. I think even if it had stuck the ball in the back of the net, it would have been just offside.
Well, now a few people have decided, now that we're into minimum stoppage time, that they're going to head home from St Mary's. 03717 22 33 44. There may well be some disgruntled Southampton fans who are already back at home and were here in the first half. RM, get out of our club. There's a banner been unfurled at the Northam stand away to our right hand side. I'm assuming that means Russell Martin.
Blimey, you got good eyes.
Scott Minto needs his binoculars to see that.
I do.
But seen it he has.
I've got bad eyes. And I can confirm it does say that.
Thank you very much. I've passed the test. Don't need to go to the opticians now.
No, it just confirms that I do.
Scott Minto with us on Talksport tonight. Danny Kelly will be back in the studio ready to take your calls once this game is finished. Don't forget live cricket on Talksport 2 at the end of Chelsea-Brentford. That's still 2-1 to Chelsea. And they played 5 minutes of the minimum 7 at the Bridge. Chelsea look to be hanging on for all 3 points. Well, they've just put the RM Get Out of Our Club banner on the screen so that even Scott Minto can see it, just in front of me on the monitor.
No, but that's harsh, though. I mean, that's harsh.
And it's not a printed that's a printed banner. That's not been painted on a bed sheet.
No.
There's a lot of time and effort gone into that. Wow.
I think that's wrong to phrase it like that. But they are going down with him in charge, but they probably would have gone down without him in charge. The recruitment's just not been good enough, and the hierarchy certainly need to look at that. But you can't play this type of football, Dance. You can't.
He had his run-ins with Southampton fans last season in the promotion campaign. They had that extraordinary run of, 23 games unbeaten or whatever it was.
But again, it's the Championship. It's not the Premier League. I'll just caveat that, and it's the end of the argument.
Into the last knockings, Matheus Fernandes trying to get a goal back for Southampton. Plays it down the left-hand side of the area for Walker-Peters. There's plenty of red and white shirts in the area. Matheus Fernandes tried to get on the end of it in the 6-yard box, but couldn't get the touch. Forster claims it, and Matheus Fernandes is in a heap in the 6-yard box and slowly picks himself back to his feet as Spurs bring it clear, not at a thunderous pace. Porro just jogging up to the halfway line. Bergvall will tuck it in field, and we're about to hear what the full-time whistle will bring from Darren England. Well, there you go. The boos of the Southampton fans drown out the cheers and the applause from the Spurs fans in the far corner. 5-0, Spurs have won. They declared at half-time, having scored 5 in the first half. A brace from James Maddison, Son with his customary goal against Southampton. Papsar also scoring a cracker, working his way into the area. It was all too easy for Tottenham at times tonight, and Russell Martin has a banner being shown to him from the Northam stand end that says RM, get out of our club. Well, he said that the points returned so far this season was embarrassing in the wake of the 1-0 defeat at Aston Villa last weekend. How must he feel now to have seen his side ripped to shreds inside 45 minutes by a rampant Tottenham Hotspur? Maddison with 2, 1 each for Son, Kulusevski and Sarr. That's much better from Spurs, but it's feast or famine for them. There seems to be no middle ground for Tottenham Hotspur whatsoever. But tonight, it's all about the feast for them. The famine goes on for Southampton in their quest for Premier League wins. They stay rooted to the bottom of the Premier League table after this final score. Southampton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 5.
Thank you very much, Ian. And Scott, well, the second half was something of a non-event. I guess it allows Southampton's players to leave the pitch with some pride. But by Premier League standards, that was a horrible beating, and it may have consequences, I suppose.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, Danny. You know, we've seen what Wolves have done. They've pulled the trigger. You know, and there may be a few other clubs as well, but certainly with this one. And I said before the game, and I said a few days ago, Southampton are going down with Russell Martin. They're probably going down with almost whoever takes charge, but they need to make a decision, the hierarchy, sooner or later, and certainly before the January transfer window. And not the easiest times to bring people in, for sure. But are you going to stick with him? Are you going to say, OK, we'll go down, we'll look to rebuild, and we'll go up again like last season? And we discussed that already, how it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
But, you know, this was 5-0 after 45 minutes, Danny. You know, and Spurs stopped. They probably could have scored another 3 or 4 if they'd have really needed to. If they'd have had to get into the Champions League by scoring 9, they probably would have done. And, you know, that's not what should be happening in the Premier League.
No.
And I do think in the second half, Southampton showed character. I hate the phrase playing for your manager or not playing for your manager. I never played for my manager. It was all about my own professional pride, first of all, and then for the fans who's paying my wages, and then the manager after that. But they showed character in the second half. They didn't give up. But basically, Spurs were playing in second gear, arguably even first, or have it in neutral.
They were, of course, you know, given what's happened with Spurs in previous games, as a Spurs fan, I was pleased to see them take their foot off the gas and try and manage the game. So they've got a huge game in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup coming up on Thursday. So that is that. Let me just tell you, in the other game tonight, Chelsea beat Brentford by 2-1, a late goal by Mboma there, giving us some interest for the last few minutes of the game. That game takes Chelsea, of course, just 2 points now behind Liverpool, although the Reds have a game in hand. And it means, Scott, that it's time for us now to pick our man of the match with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Man of the match on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
Well, Scott, I'll take your word for the man of the match, because really, it's whoever you choose for the man of the first half will be the man of the match, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, before I say the man of the match, there's one person, and he's still a teenager, that I really would like to talk about, or at least just touch on. Archie Gray. He's come in from a lot of money to Spurs. He's still a teenager. He's playing almost everywhere bar his best position, and when he went from centre half to left back, he made a really last ditch tackle at the very end to stop a certain goal for Southampton. I think he was sensational. He's got a massive future ahead, but how can I not give it to James Maddison? Two goals. He's been brilliant. And that fifth goal, that was a special one. It really, really was. Also got an assist for Son's goal, so it's got to be James Maddison.
I wouldn't disagree. He's become a thermometer for Spurs' performances. The games where he looks bad, Spurs tend to lose. The games where he plays well, they tend to win. So that's the man of the match with Enterprise Rent a Car here on Talksport.